Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from the Frontier, and I trust the week's gone well. Of course, I participated in that debate where I was a little bit tongue-in-cheek and a trifle contrarian. Can BRICS counter the West? With Folly Batabo, and it was most enjoyable. And I came across this quote on the FT regarding the BRICS Bank. Without a shadow of a doubt, the principal country from an economic standpoint is China, said Roberto Dumas Damas, an economist at INSPA Business School in Sao Paulo. That's clearly the case. Next Mind Speak is a week on Saturday, July 26th at the Intercontinental. I look forward to hosting Joshua Oigara of KCB. If you're interested to know what it is, there is a link there under What is Mindspeak under Rich Wrap-Ups, and also a link for the Mindspeak sessions this year. You can go back in the years from there, but including Lagarde, Naikuni, Charles Island, Sasibera and Munir Ahmed. I remain extremely pleased with my Samsung S5 phone, I must admit, and I still love those photographs that I took of Mount Kilimanjaro, and then one where I created a negative of it, and it's as we flew on our way to Maputo. And you tell me whether you think there's a lot of snow. I looked at some photographs I'd taken before, and it's definitely eroded. And I'm going to put up a photograph of Hannah on her birthday because she smiled that day. I like this photograph that I found on the New Yorker Muhammad Ali Oscar Bonavena press conference, New York, 1970, from the estate of Jerry Vinogrand, courtesy Frankel Gallery, San Francisco. And he was such an awesome athlete and awesome character, wasn't he? But it is a curve each of them feels unmistakably. It is the parabola. They must have guessed once or twice, guessed and refused to believe that everything, always, collectively, had been moving toward that purified shape latent in the sky. That shape of no surprise, no second chance, no return. Yet they do move forever under it, reserved for its own black and white bad news, certainly as if it were the rainbow, and they its children. Well, of course, yesterday I got caught up by this news of the MH17 crashing in Ukraine. I'll put up a photograph of it docking at Schiphol from where it flew. Before it crashed, it was on its way to Kuala Lumpur. 295 people on board, was flying 1,000 feet above a no-fly, the Independent has learnt. I can say, and this is from another report, that Putin's plane and the Malaysian Boeing intersected at the same point and the same echelon. That was close to Warsaw, on 330 m echelon at the height of 10,100 meters. The presidential jet was there at 16:21 Moscow time, and the Malaysian aircraft at 15:44 Moscow time, a source told the news agency on condition of anonymity. The contours of the aircraft are similar, linear dimensions are also very, very similar. As for the colouring, at quite a remote distance they are almost identical, someone else said. So pretty murky, not clear what's happened, who shot it down. A lot of speculation on social media that it's a false flag operation, but it's clear we don't really know. But the tone of both sides sort of treading very, very gingerly around it indicates there's something. I like this tweet from MEA India, working the phones. And it's of Narendra Modi speaking to Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel during a short technical halt in Frankfurt, apparently. And then I saw this photograph from the New York Times, the aftermath of an airstrike on a beach in Gaza City on Wednesday. 4 young Palestinian boys, all cousins, were killed. It really is awful. International markets, Time Warner win would make Rupert Murdoch US media king. a combined Fox Time Warner would have a massive array of media and sports content and be in a very powerful negotiating position with cable and satellite distributors, some of whom have themselves announced mega deals and newer ways of getting to consumers, such as online video distributors Netflix and Amazon. It is a chance to put some great programming and content assets under one umbrella, a person close to the situation said. There are other alternatives, but none of them fit anywhere near as well as this does. According to StarMind Smart estimates, Fox shares trade at a multiple of about 19.5 times 12-month forward earnings, above the median of 17.8, and now in line with Time Warner's 19.5 times, a valuation substantially above where the shares closed on Tuesday. Fox dropped 6.2% to $33. The offer, first reported by the New York Times, was worth about $80 billion or $85 a share. It was made in June. Fox estimates that a combined company would have $60 billion in annual revenues, would save $1 billion in costs, and possibly more. So interesting. And you could say the media king is back. Anyone thought he wasn't. And then when I went to look at his Twitter handle from May 22nd, he says, excited for X-Men. And there's a photograph of him and the X-Men. And Time Warner has tweeted they confirm their rejection of an unsolicited proposal. Read the press release. If you wish to, you can click on the link. Euro 135.28, the dollar index 80.53, yen 101.34, got a bit of a bid on the Malaysian airline news. Swiss franc 0.8976, pound 171.04, Aussie 0.9360, Indian rupee 60.355, the South Korean won holding at these weaker levels 1032.06, the Rial 225.83, that softened a little bit. Egyptian pound unchanged 714.88, and the rand a little bit softer, but they hiked rates a quarter point 1072.47. I'll put up a 3-month chart of the euro dollar. It's beginning to look a little bit soft. I'll put up a 3-month chart of the dollar index. That's sort of mid-range at the moment. Gold back above 1300, 1312.685. I'll put up a 5-day chart. Quarter bid, I suppose, on the news that we saw about the aeroplane. Crude oil 102.58. What a good buy under 100 it turned out to be. Mugabe wants China to help Zimbabwe's economic revolution. Out of friends and fast running out of money, Zimbabwe's President Robert Mugabe hopes China can assist his country launch an economic revolution, with the exploitation of natural resources being the springboard. The Southern African nation has vast natural resources, including the second largest platinum reserves in the world, after South Africa, the largest alluvial diamond reserves in the world, and significant gold, chrome and coal deposits. But so far investors have stayed away, blaming a matrix of policy inconsistency and failure to protect property rights. But we will be talking about how we can together once again help each other now in our socio-economic programs, another revolution to develop our countries so the fruits of what we fought for together can be yielded by yet another struggle, joint struggle. But this time a peace and economic struggle that we shall be waging with our natural resources so we can produce the necessary wealth for our people, Mugabe said on Wednesday when he met a Chinese delegation from the Communist Party of China. The ruler hopes his call will evoke memories of the country's struggle to end colonial rule, where China helped Zimbabwe with weaponry, military training facilities, and hopes this can foster an economic partnership. So we look forward to that, and we say to China, long live China, long live the people of China, long live our friendship, he said. Mugabe was in his element, flattering the delegation with praise and describing China as our greatest friends in the international arena. But the Chinese government has been coy on investing in Zimbabwe. Chinamasa is the finance minister, is currently in Beijing on a second mission. He came back empty-handed last time. Mugabe remains upbeat, pinning its hopes on the ongoing negotiations of Beijing for a $10 billion worth of emergency lifeline. The Chinese are reportedly open to a deal on condition Mugabe can provide collateral, preferably in the form of the country's mineral riches. He's travelling to China next month. The South African all shares up 11.961% this year, back below 52,000, but not far off a record. The South African SARB Reserve Bank raised key rates to 5.75% in a very gradualist policy move. Lowered its economic growth forecast to 1.7% from 2.1%. Dollar Rand, I'll put up a 6-month chart. We're in this sort of range that we've been in for a little while. 10:30 till about 11. The Egyptian pound, as I said, around the 715 level. The Egyptian stock market firmed 0.52% yesterday. It's up 27.351% this year, and it's shut on a Friday. Nigerian all shares up 3.84475%, and it's at a 2008 high. The Ghana Stock Exchange, however, is up 9.184%, but you've lost all that with a 30% slump in the city. But as I pointed out yesterday, it seemed from the president's tweets that he was moving towards calling for help, which is what he should have done some months ago. Interesting data coming out about retailers driving sales and expanding in sub-Saharan Africa. This was from Retail Analysis, and it's linked on Rich Wrap-Ups if you're interested in that space, which is pretty red hot these days. Coming to Kenya, Arm Cement reported first half profit after tax accelerated 21%, revenue was up 16%, profit before tax up 20%, profit after tax up 21%. Cement sales increased by 10% in Kenya and in Tanzania by 38%, as the cement brand increased distribution throughout the country. Talking of Mavuno fertilizer business recording significant growth, total investment in the combined 1.8 million tonnes per year Tanga clinker plant and Dar es Salaam cement plant to date is 15 billion shillings, they said. I'm expecting a steepening earnings trajectory, which I think will steepen further on margin expansion related to the commissioning of the clinker plant in Tanzania. I'll put up a photograph of a very famous shareholder. He tends to have one share in each company at the NSE and religiously comes to all the AGMs, is Mr. Chama. Quite often he stands up to ask his question and never asks one, which I think was the case here. But he's very well known. In this photograph you can see him standing up and asking a question of the board. Then I'll put up another photograph of Pradeep taking the stage. I like this photograph of President Kenyatta test riding a police motorbike in Nairobi this week that I found via EPA. Raila Odinga tells the AFP Kenya government is not serious on the Islamist threat. President Kenyatta has denied Shabab were involved and has blamed the coastal violence on local political networks. Many Kenyans saw it as the government pointing the finger at Odinga and called. That kind of reaction is absurd. It amounts to trivializing a very serious and tragic situation where so many lives have been lost, Odinga said. When this incident occurred, immediately other international intelligence agencies, the British, the French, and Americans, said that it was the work of Shabab. The Shabab themselves came out publicly and said it was them, he added. If the authors of this criminal act are known, they should be arrested. Even if it was myself, I'm not above the law. I should be arrested and prosecuted. This basically shows that the government is not serious in terms of dealing with these elements who are costing the lives of many Kenyans, Odinga said. We need to move away from this balkanization to a more cohesive society where there is more tolerance among the communities. We are not yet there. That is what has been responsible in the past for the clashes, he added. The Shabab have stepped up their attacks on Kenya in retaliation for Kenya's military intervention in Somalia in 2011. Kenyan troops now control a part of southern Somalia and form a part of the 22,000-strong African Union force supporting the government in Mogadishu. According to Odinga, the operation is proving too costly. On a regular basis, our dead soldiers are being brought back in coffins and the government is not announcing it, he alleged. This was never meant to be an indefinite engagement in Somalia. We need to have a clear timetable of this engagement, how long our troops are going to remain in Somalia. In my view, as quickly as possible, pull our troops out. Kenya shilling was last at 87.8. The Nairobi all-share firmed 0.36% yesterday and is firming a little bit more today and is up 10.5232%. The NSE 20 is down 0.2639% in 2014 but rebounded 0.88% yesterday. The French group Danone has bought a 40% stake in Brookside. Danone said Friday it was buying a 40% stake in Brookside, East Africa's top dairy producer, as part of plans to expand in new markets. Dubai equity firm Abraj Group, which is a long-time investor in Brookside, keeps its 10% stake in Brookside, while the Kenyatta family, which before the deal owned a 90% stake, will retain the rest of the capital. Abraj's Africa fund invested $18.7 million in Brookside in 2009. Africa is an important new frontier for Danone for years to come. We can grow organically, but also through acquisitions. We continue to look for nice opportunities. Best quality Mirar from the Burugini area that used to be exported to the UK had dropped from between 25,000 and 30,000 shillings per bundle to between 6,000 and 7,000. So it's completely cratered. Yesterday, as I said, the NSE 20 rallied 0.88%. The Nairobi all-share was up 0.358%. Equity turnover picked up speed, 800 million. I think the equity market is poised to run higher and in a broad-based manner on the tonic of lower domestic interest rates. I think the forward indicator for rates is surely mortgage rates. The interesting developments this year have been continued big cap outperformance, with the banks now pushing the envelope again. KCB at a record equity bank just below 1 cent this month. Small caps have been a very big standout, with the insurance sector as well. Value stocks, Kenya Airways, Mumia, shares like that have significantly underperformed. And with that, I wish you all a super safe weekend. Thank you so much. Bye.